Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, three new releases from Patek Philippe, quite interesting. Let's take a look and maybe criticize a bit. Isn't it fun to criticize things we can't afford? The one on the left, which people will talk about the most, probably because it is in steel, the 5905-1A, which comes at $60,000 retail. It's the kind of watch that has two very useful complications, some loom, comes in steel. So I could consider indeed uh, consolidating my collection into 3-4 pieces, including one heavy hitter like this. But we've talked about it before. It has its shortcomings, and especially in a market like this, it feels like they're releasing this watch to take away from the attention that's been brought on the Nautilus and the Aquanaut. And so they're just giving people, or at least steering them back into what really is Patek, which is Complications. And this is a great model anyway, the 5905. But here, people want a steel bracelet, which I find much more useful. I prefer that, especially here in a very humid country like Hong Kong. I prefer that to wearing straps outside. It's more comfortable. So it is a model that I'm interested in, I have to say. And I did consider the 5960 with the white dial before. However, it comes with its shortcomings as well. You always have to, you pay a lot of money, but there's always something that you have to live with when you get one of those watches. You have to make some concessions. Like this one, for example, doesn't have running seconds. Not a problem, says Lax to repeat Tim Mosso of the Watchbox. He says you can leave the chronograph seconds running if you want a bit of the agitation on the dial, which is true. However, you're also gonna have the minutes counter running the whole day, which I find kind of weird and distracting in a way. So it is one thing if you like to have the seconds running. You don't have with neither this model or the one on the right, the 5930p, so the world time flyback chronograph. But back to the 5905, you only get one subdial, which is fine to me, to count the minutes. I don't think I've ever ran a chronograph for more than an hour unless I forgot about it. So to me, it is fine. It makes for a clear, clean execution of the dial. So you get the annual calendar, very easy to read at a glance, but they make the annual calendar with the moon phase, and here you don't get to see the moon phase, which is something that I like. Okay, it's not the most useful thing, but then, by the same token, you really need the month. If you don't know what month it is, you probably have bigger issues than buying a Patek Philippe. I think the moon phase is a bit more intricate complication, and these days they can make them accurate for over 120 years, sometimes even a lot longer than that. So I kind of miss that. I think you have to concede that when you go for this model. And then the overall look, it seems that we've been conditioned to think that anything steel with a fancy color dial has to be desirable, right? But at 60 grand, it's going to be an interesting test for this watch. Earlier last year, the blue dial annual calendar on steel as well, which was marketed more as a unisex option, never really took off. There was a bit of a premium at first, and I don't even know now. I guess dealers put everything at some premium, but I don't even know that it's such a desirable watch. It's a good-looking watch. It's a great one watch. All these three watches here as well are a great one watch. You choose your complication and you go for it. But I don't know if just putting a watch on steel works if the bracelet is not really elegant. The one here, the 5905, it has a very 90s kind of look to it. I feel it doesn't look that modern. It's a bit bulky. The lugs are quite long. It's something you got to see in person. Maybe in person you'll fall in love with it. But I really find all these multi-complication but still reasonably affordable watches have their shortcomings. So it's going to be a good test of the market to see if just putting it in steel with a green dial is going to sell the watch. You know, it's funny, if Thierry Stern wants to steer people away from the Nautilus, but at the same time he comes up with one with a green dial, which is the color en vogue of the moment, and it is the corporate color of the biggest competitor of Rolex. And then he does it again here, sort of giving what people want in a Nautilus, while telling them, oh, we're not going to make the Nautilus forever, or it is not as important to us as it is to you. It's kind of weird. They're kind of playing on two fields there. To me, they kind of, you might as well give the Nautilus if that's what people want, while instead of turning the 5905 into a baby Nautilus kind of model. So interesting to see if people will drop 60 grand. I'm sure at first you won't find them. Dealers will try to play the game, but I'd be very surprised if this one takes off in price. Now if you have a bigger budget, 100 grand, I've been looking, at the wild gold versions of that 5930. An interesting watch, and I come back and forth with it. I like the complication, of course, the annual, the world time. Although this world time has the one major flaw of not showing which cities, which countries have daylight savings. So half the year you'll be wrong on many of the cities on this dial. Another issue is that you don't have a date, which is kind of important when you're a traveler. Also, you see for the time zone where I'm in, instead of Hong Kong, which was typically the one on all those world timers, now all the companies are sucking up to the Chinese market, which is, it's a big market, but Hong Kong market is just as big, and it's a market of connoisseurs that's been there for a lot longer than China. And now you have to have Beijing on the dial. To me, that's a no-no. It's the same with Omega, their world time, Aquaterra. I'm not interested. I want Hong Kong on my dial. Sorry. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm going to be sent to a gulag for saying that. And then again, here for the chronograph, you only have one small sub-dial, 30 minutes, less than the 5905, which has at least 60 minutes, but it's a bit more readable. And 30 minutes, should be okay. I like, of course, the work on the center of the dial is very cool. You have flyback chronograph, which is nice as well. Again, no running seconds. So you have to accept that. And for 100 grand, I'm not really too willing to accept many things. And the color, I find it extremely ugly, this green. Now, talking about the green and the 5905, if we can get back to that model a little bit, you might not remember this, but a year ago a very similar watch came out for a retailer it's a limited edition for a retailer in Ireland, and Conor McGregor, of course, got one of them. So it was a green dial, different type of green, but a green anyway, on a non-matching but green as well strap. A very ugly watch that only the most hardcore Patek Irish fans could dig. And there you go. It was supposed to be limited edition, and now they come up with another one in steel, which is in a way more desirable than the platinum that they did. I think it was platinum, not white gold. So I find it a bit weird those releases, those colors. It's like they don't want to do the thing that's popular with the Nautilus and the Aquanaut, but at the same time they're turning the other watches into whatever is popular for the moment, which is the green color. Anyway, now let's talk about the big gun. My favorite watch maybe ever, the 5204, but here it comes in a rose gold color with a dial that's it's a weird color to pair with anything. So it's still an amazing watch. I still would love to have it, but 300 grand for a watch that's not gonna work with many outfits. That's probably one for the uber wealthy, but that is a very boss kind of watch. Again, 300 grand retail, more like a $200,000 watch in the real world, I think. So to me, the big test of the market, which is getting a bit long in the tooth. Yes, there's a big demand for everything, but the demand starts getting very thin when you pass the 20 grand mark. There's less punters who can afford that sort of watch. It's going to be an interesting test. But anyway, Patek Philippe has a wide portfolio of watches at the moment. I just hope that they're not losing the plot, going in too many directions, trying to please short-term trends, which is the thing that they're trying to buck with those new releases at the same time. So yeah, I feel slightly confused, but who cares what I think. On the wrist, I have my my little Patek 5134. To me, that's enough. It's a very cool watch. Didn't cost a fortune, and I get a bit of that magic Patek thing, which sometimes is a bit lost in the hype and the flex, I find, and hopefully they can capture a bit more of that magic in the next releases. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about those watches in the comment. Would you consolidate to get the 5905 in steel? Do you find it aesthetically pleasing on pictures? We'll have to see in person. That bracelet looks more like an older Omega Speedmaster bracelet to me. Almost too big for the watch. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Bye bye.